Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again for the not so weekly Key Issues podcast.
We try.
Today, I am your host, the benevolent, beautiful, and if I do say so myself, bodacious.
That's 3 B's.
Garrick. Yeah, you like that alliteration? You don't get that every week. And with me, of course, is Nick.
I'm just regular Nick. I don't have a bunch of other things that are prepared when it comes to
Well,
letters.
I'm used to you giving me the thing,
Yeah, and you
so
have
I
time
give it to
think.
myself.
Yeah, you have time to think. So I guess I'll just go like, hey, what up, y'all?
There you go.
See, it's easy.
There
That's
you
why
have
do
it. Yeah, and today we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
You can actually see Spider-Man's crotch right here. That's pretty much all of him you can see.
That's true.
But he's on our wall.
Maybe we'll lower him one day where you can see his face. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Who
really
knows?
it's really going to depend upon viewership. We thought that the sex sells image thing was going to kick in, like maybe we'd get some of the viewership to go up because they're like, have you guys seen the podcast where they only show his dick? It was a weird choice that we made. Didn't go over well.
Yeah. So, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Don't get me started on my week. Absolutely horrible week.
Horrible week, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, for the most part, my week has been pretty good. My youngest has started kindergarten since the last time we all spoke here, so that's pretty exciting. Dropping him off, picking him up every day has added some extra stress to my daily routine, but it's good. Other than that, been playing a lot of video games, probably too much, which is why I haven't put out a video in a few days. But I have some stuff coming for Shang-Chi, so those videos will begin dropping tomorrow. Garrick has one in the pipeline. I have 2 in the pipeline that I'm working on right now. And then depending upon how those do, we'll see where we go from there. And then other than that, I got a story to share after you. You know, okay. I'll tell it now.
Go ahead.
Some rat bastard but he bought a book out from under me today at the local comic store, a book that I've been waiting 4 months for the guy who owns it to price. And then this guy that works there bought it out from under me, put me in a situation where I had to pull the trigger immediately, didn't even have time to think about it. Yes, it was a high-value book, cost a little bit of money. I just wanted to go out and have a nice lunch.
You're not going to tell the people what book it was?
I'm not going to tell them what it is, because if I tell them what it is, maybe they'll go out and start buying the same book. Then it's even harder for me to get. It was Fantastic 448. It was the first Silver Surfer, first mention of Galactus as well. Watu the Watcher, he's on the cover and he's like, get lit. It's a great book. It's one I wanted for a long time. I could have bought it in 2018, the exact same book, for probably a quarter of what I was prepared to pay for it today, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that I now have a new enemy in my life, and this person will pay. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. It's, it sucks. I should have pulled the trigger, but I didn't. And whatever, that guy got the book, and I'll have to find another way of getting it. So right now, the 2 books that I'm looking at getting the most in my life is that book, Fantastic 448, First Silver Surfer, or Marvel Spotlight 5. Yeah, Marvel Spotlight 5, which is the first Ghost Rider. God, I hope it's not 15. If it's 15, then I'm a fake fan.
Yeah. For sure, you are. Yeah, you would definitely be.
I'm not gonna Google it
real
while
quick.
We're here.
Yeah, while Nick doesn't Google that, I was spending a lot of time. I was spending a lot of time this weekend going through my long boxes and sort of categorizing and keeping track of all of my comics. I wanted to put them in that app so I just know what I have at my fingertips at all points, because I have a lot of just random key issues that I don't keep that great of track of. So now,
and also you're a scalper now.
I'm not. I'm not gonna sell any of my books except for a few, and those I don't have really too much attachment to, and they just had become super popular and will become more popular later.
Yep. That's how it goes with comics.
So I'll probably sell those.
I should start keeping a list of like books that I should have bought. If I bought every book that I wanted now when I first wanted them, it's insane to think of how much money I would have saved. It's not a buyer's market right now, but it's weird. Garrick's talking about like, oh, I'm categorizing my books and putting them in an app now because he says he's not a scalper, but this weekend he was like, I found this little old lady online. She's got some books. You want to go take advantage of her? We could flip them easy. Then we could put all that money into Nintendo 3DSs. They're limited edition. They're Zelda. We could put them on eBay, flip them for $350 a pop, and then we're eating good. It's really weird.
Exactly. And so in those comic books, I found a whole bunch of keys that I didn't even realize that I owned, like the first Val-Zod. I own that. I own his first appearance as Superman. I own this like iconic cover of him fighting Superman. I own the first Jessica Cruz, and those are all like crazy popular characters now. And Val-Zod, of course, is probably going to get a movie soon, which is exciting. But I was going through my books, and it was literally the first appearance of the character was missing from my run.
Yeah.
And I had the 3 other keys of him, which were all pretty nice keys, but his first appearance wasn't there, and I had actually lent the Earth 2 run. It's from the New 52. I had lent that to a friend of mine, and in like 2012 or something, like a year or two after the New 52 had started, so he's had them for like a decade, and I messaged him on Facebook today. I was like, hey, do you still have those comics? Anyway, I could get those back.
Fortunately, he gave them to you, which is pretty cool.
He still had them.
He could have been like, no, who are you? New Facebook, who dis?
Yeah, so that was nice of him. Other than that, this week I've been reading Frankenstein, and I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but I had been going through and like buying a bunch of classic books to like read through them that I have not gone through. I have like Dracula now. I just recently finished reading Dune. I think I mentioned on the last podcast. So I was reading Frankenstein next. I got Robin Hood. I bought the Iliad and the Odyssey for some reason. Am I going to read those? I don't know, but I have them. So I finished Frankenstein, and it was interesting because I had never read it before, and I had no clue anything about it. The actual story from the book, I only knew like the Boris Karloff, the famous movie where Frankenstein in the big castle and the window is open and it's raining and it's storming and the lightning comes down. Snoring. Yeah, and it's alive. None of that happens in the book.
Yeah.
It's just none of that is there. And you feel bad for the monster by the end of it. You're like, Frankenstein was a real scumbag, and the monster just he murdered a lot of people, but it's not his fault.
That's the crazy thing about like that book that I never knew growing up, is because you always assume that Frankenstein is the monster because that's what he's called, but he's not. Frankenstein is the scientist, and Frankenstein's monster is who most people call Frankenstein. But
young Frankie.
Anywho, yeah, me. My wife is working on Dune. She got the same copy of Dune that Garrick has, and she's reading it a little slow. And I'd like to start it, but I might just plow through it closer to the release of the actual film. I think it comes out in December.
October.
I got so much stuff I'm reading right now, and whenever I have time, that I don't get engulfed into video games, which is a terrible habit that I keep doing. But I want to read. I'm reading up on Captain Marvel. I'm reading a lot of Shang-Chi comics. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of thing that's going to get me just eaten alive. I'm canceling myself.
We should probably stop the live stream, delete this, and make sure that no one ever sees it again.
Yeah, I would be. Hopefully the cast doesn't see this.
Yeah,
but you can't see it, but over on my work desk, there's just a mountain of books that I've been buying recently, back issues and things that I've been using to research characters, just different things that I want to do for the channel and bring you guys content that is fun and maybe you guys enjoy. So that's it. Today we're talking about Spider-Man, you said?
We are talking about Spider-Man, and in case you've been living under a rock, the Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer, not official trailer, teaser trailer dropped, and it broke the internet. It immediately got more views than the Endgame trailer did in 24 hours, and it's insane. So we're going to talk about Spider-Man pretty much the entire podcast today, and I'm going to be honest with you. I got plenty to say.
Good, because I got nothing. I don't even know who Spider-Man is. No, but my favorite part of the entire thing, the entire Spider-Man No Way Home hype train that's been rolling, is the trailer that leaked. So when it leaked and you saw that it was like a picture, it was like a guy on his phone who had it, and they were taking a cell phone video of a laptop screen of a person's phone. And it was like 3 degrees of separation between the actual trailer and the person that was leaking it. And little known fact,
none of us, I didn't watch it. It's crazy for you to admit that. But Kevin, hey, I waited.
Garrick totally didn't send it to me that afternoon. But it's the person that leaked it. Interesting story, because everybody thought, this guy's definitely going to get in trouble. But you'd imagine that something would have came out, and that actually just did break. They sent him to Guantanamo Bay. So
they reopened it for him, just for him.
That guy.
Unfortunate.
That's a hellhole. But so we got a lot of stuff to say about the actual trailer. Then dropped the next day or a day and a half later.
The day later.
So tons of information there, pretty much confirming most of the rumors that had been circulating the internet and fan service that had been circulating the internet for years. And, as the podcast goes on today and we discuss stuff, feel free to chime in. We'll read stuff out in the comment section. Hopefully, if you guys have takes and opinions on it, we want to include you in it as well.
So let's just get straight to brass tacks here and talk about the multiverse. Spider-Man's broken it.
Yep, for sure.
Man can't stay out of a spell to save his life.
He's terrible.
Clear boundaries were drawn.
Yep.
Strange said, "Don't come in here." He came in and started being like, "Well, shouldn't this person know? Shouldn't that person know?" And can't you just tell him after he erases everyone else's memory, Peter?
I think we should start just the discussion about the trailer with the obvious. So Spider-Man's identity was leaked fairly publicly at the end of Far From Home. It's clear that he would be looking for a way to distance himself. Life is obviously...
He doesn't want to be known as a murderer.
Who does?
Not me?
Yeah, for sure.
Not Spider-Man.
I know. And you've killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Wait. Can we...
In cut. Destiny, I have.
Okay. But, no, we have... So we know that the characters, obviously, no superhero wants to, especially a superhero who has a secret identity, wants their identity out there. It makes them a victim, or makes them a target, sorry. And Doctor Strange, as Garrick pointed out, he's talking about Spider-Man, but Doctor Strange, he can't help himself.
He's down bad.
Yeah, he's like...
Can we talk about what's going on with Strange? What's wrong with him?
He's like, what if I just did everything bad? I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme now. I make the rules.
He's walking around in pregnant pants,
maternity pants,
and his cape.
Just drinking some coffee out of a mug.
Getting noticeably more gray up here, and just there's the sanctum snowed in. Wong's like, listen, I can't stay here with you anymore. We're getting a mystical, magical divorce.
It begs the question: what caused that snow? And was it the casket of ancient casket of ancient winters? He's got it somewhere. It has to be somewhere at this point. It wasn't destroyed, was it? The casket of winters.
It was on Asgard when it blew up. Unless somebody took it with them.
Strange has it. He's using it to make a winter wonderland inside the Sanctum Sanctorum.
His plan is to, the reason he's wearing those clothes is his plan was to use the Casket of Ancient Winters to cover New York City in a perpetual winter. He's going to start a snow plowing business called Mr. Plow. He's got a great theme song already cooked up, but Wong is not having it, so he leaves and he starts his own competitive snowplow business called
Plow King.
Exactly. Yep. And it's going to be, that's my theory.
I mean, and it's pretty much confirmed. Yeah. You saw Wong, he had the jacket and the business papers. He was leaving.
Exactly.
Every goddamn episode, we just go back to the old Simpsons episodes.
Sometimes you just got to do a little derail, and that's fine. But yeah, something's going on with Strange, and his life just ain't right. Maybe he saw the most recent episode of What If and was like, man,
that looks lit.
That's
I want to become a goddamn demon.
Yeah, and kill everyone. Yeah, so he maybe he saw that, got a little bit depressed, started eating some Ben and Jerry's. Who knows?
So he starts. So obviously, Spider-Man's looking for a way to get out of this, scenario he's in. He's asking Strange, and this kind of mirrors the story from the comics called One More Day. And the premise of that is that Spider-Man asks the demon Mephisto to essentially let me go back a little bit. In the comic books, during the events of the original Civil War in the comics, Spider-Man ends up siding with Iron Man, who is pro Superhero Registration Act, meaning he wants superheroes to be registered with the government, and he wants everybody to know who the superheroes. He doesn't necessarily want everybody to know who superheroes are, but he wants them to be better governed so that big catastrophes and things like that can be better avoided. Kind of similar to what they did in the Civil War movie, but during the middle portion of the story, Spider-Man unmasks himself on live TV and he says, "Hi, my name's Peter Parker. I've been Spider-Man since I was 17 years old, or 16. I don't remember exactly how old he was when he started. I'm a bad Spider-Man fan." But throughout the course of the next couple years, Spider-Man's identity is known within the Marvel Universe, and he ends up striking a deal with Mephisto to erase that knowledge from the greater Marvel Universe. But in exchange for that, it nullifies his marriage to Mary Jane. It's kind of like you have to give me something. If you want something from me, exactly. Yeah, you want something from me, I'm going to take something from you, kind of a thing. And that's kind of what they're doing here, except they're replacing Mephisto with Doctor Strange, where he asks him to do this, and Peter immediately goes inside of the circle and he's like, is everybody gonna forget? Is my girlfriend gonna forget? Is my aunt gonna forget? Is Ned gonna forget? And it's really, I thought that part was funny because he's like, shut the I'm trying to cast this spell. What he could have just been like, yeah, you could just tell them again.
Goes back, everything would be good.
Yeah, it goes back to casting the spell. But in the process, it looks like he breaks some aspect of the multiverse, and he gets some cool people sucked into his universe, and it looks really exciting.
Some cool dudes.
Just a couple pals.
Some Sinister Six individuals. Those, of course, being the iconic villains from the amazing Raimi trilogy. That is, of course, the second best superhero trilogy behind the Dark Knight trilogy. Of course, you guessed it correctly. And everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin will be returning. You heard his iconic laugh during the trailer. Of course, we saw Alfred Molina's Doc Ock
with some weird de-aging look.
Yeah,
he looks even younger than he did and thinner than he did in the original film.
He does.
It threw me right off.
His hair was very black.
They need to adjust that a little bit because it was. But then again, I mean, it's entirely possible that the versions of these characters that we're seeing are not exactly the same versions that we've seen from previous films. So there's going to be some. There can easily be some adjustments, especially like we haven't seen Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin or Norman Osborn again, but I wouldn't be surprised if they de-age him as well, because you can't, I mean, he was older when he made that first movie.
To be honest, he looks the same. Seriously, does he look that much older?
He's looked 60 since he was in Platoon, and that was in like 88.
So, exactly. I mean,
he just has old man face.
Yeah, he does. Compare him in Aquaman to him in Spider-Man 1.
For sure.
Like, it's the same. He looks the same to me, at
for
least.
sure.
So those two are coming back. Of course, we did see some
hints of other characters.
We did, and we're going to talk about some leaks, but not huge. We're not going to talk about specifically story leaks. I've not seen any of that,
and I've only seen. I don't want to see them.
Yeah, I have as well. I've only seen the character leaks, and of course, in the trailer, we know that the Sinister Six coming back. So just so you're aware, we're going to be getting into a little bit of that. There will be very minor spoilers, as this has already been revealed in the trailer.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk speculation about other things.
Yeah, we're not getting into like what people on Twitter who's like, oh, my uncle's friend works at
Right,
Lucasfilm, and he says that, you know, Gwen Stacy dies again in it. Like, who knows?
Right. So like the whole plot has leaked on Reddit. We're not going to talk about any of that, so don't worry about that. But we did see Electro. We saw his lightning coming down from the sky, and the yellow lightning bolts this time instead of blue. And he's got that yellow motif in the comic books. That's his classic thing with the lightning bolt face. So he's going to be in it. And of course, that is Jamie Foxx reprising the role, and he looks much, much different than he did in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I just watched the other day because I got some videos coming out surrounding those films. But he looks completely different. So, like you said, I think it's probably safe to say that they're going to be the same villains, but not the same exact ones that we got in the movie. And we know Sandman's going to be in it. We already saw his sand in the same Electro scene. And then, of course, we saw Lizard in the background of a shot. He scratches Peter on the chest. So those 5 we saw in the trailer. So the last member of the Sinister Six would be up to some sort of interpretation, some sort of guess. And
there's only one choice. There's only one villain left out of all the franchises that you can even include.
Yeah, Eddie Brock from Spider-Man 3.
No, it's Aunt May.
Oh, of course.
The original Aunt May actress will be back.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
She's great. I wish she would come back.
Who knows? I mean, I doubt that they're going to include Topher Grace's Venom in any capacity. I think
that would be sick.
I think that if they include anybody, it'll be Michael Keaton's Vulture. They'll find a way to break him out or something else.
There'd be nobody else to really pick from because, like you said, they're probably not going to use Venom. But Venom or Vulture would be the only 2 that it could possibly be because you're not going to bring in another Green Goblin. You're not going to bring in Dane DeHaan's from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And you're definitely not going to bring in Rhino from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So you've got Venom and you've got Vulture.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be Vulture, or I guess it could be Mysterio.
If he survived it or found a way to survive in that verse, or there's another version of Quentin Beck in another dimension that they bring in. So.
Right. He's, in the comics fakes his death all the time. He fakes everything. He's an illusionist.
That's his whole MO.
Thing. So
he's actually in this room right now.
And yeah, I think Vulture makes the most sense. I'd love to see Michael Keaton back, and that'd be Michael Keaton back to back in The Flash and in Spider-Man No Way Home and in Morbius.
And from what I understand, they're trying to get Beetlejuice 2 off the ground, which
is that true, or are you making that up?
It's very true.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
It'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's just doing the rounds on his best characters right now.
Michael Keaton's greatest hits, baby.
Like, I mean, if you guys, I would like to take just a quick pit stop in Villain Land. And while I ask this question to Garrick, I'm also going to ask it to all of you out there in listening to our podcast land, who your most anticipated villain is. My most anticipated villain to see again in this universe is probably Electro. And the reason being is I've in the last year, about a year ago, I started reading a bunch of older Spider-Man comics, and then Electro pops up in different places all over the place. So I started reading stuff because I wanted to eventually get an Electro video out, but he's pretty cool. I like that character. The version of him that was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, Garrick does not like. I thought was kind of interesting.
Horrible.
But I would like to see him done just a little bit better, a little bit cooler. I'm definitely interested in seeing Electro again.
Yeah, I think for me, it's gotta be Green Goblin. I mean, Willem Dafoe, that performance in that movie, it's a meme sometimes, and there are a lot of memey things about the Raimi trilogy.
There's a billion memes from Green Goblin alone.
And he's a goofball. But at the same time...
Do you know how much I've sacrificed?
Exactly. And back to formula. There are a lot of great memes, but it is...
something of a scientist myself.
It's a legitimately good performance.
Drop your favorite Green Goblin meme in the chat.
Yeah, please. Your favorite Green Goblin line down in the chat. But he's got heartbreaking moments. He's got funny moments, and he's just a crazy person. You believe that this man has lost his marbles, and it's craziness every time he's on screen. So I hope he brings that same energy, and he's just over here like got Tom Holland in a giving him a nugget, and he's like, wow, "What's up, Spider-Man?" I just want crazy, off the wall Willem Dafoe.
We could have ruled the whole city.
You and me, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, I got no cash with me when I came over in the portal tomorrow. $25. I need a dog.
How's Oscorp in this universe? Tony Stark Industries bought us out. Fuck. I always hated that rat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited in some capacity to see every one of these villains in some other way reconceptualized or brought over. Obviously, Doc Ock is the only one that we've seen in the flesh so far. They hinted at Green Goblin with the pumpkin bomb, and you did see part of Lizard's hand, so you know that he's going to be there in some capacity. But Doc Ock is another character that was just... Doc Ock is one of those that when I talk to a lot of people, there's very mixed feelings because he was done so well in Spider-Man 2 that a lot of people don't want that character messed with. But if you think about it, Doc Ock has been in some absolutely iconic, battles with Spider-Man. He's been in some of the greatest Spider-Man cartoon adaptations. And
not to mention Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, he was great in Spider-Man. The character was great in Spider-Man PS4. Very unique and very you could be or sympathetic, probably not empathetic, but and then also the character himself. He was also in a tremendously well-written run. One of my favorite Spider-Man runs, which is Superior Spider-Man, where he actually takes over the body of.
I really like Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of most of Dan Slott's Spider-Man run. Just in general, there's some stuff that I really dig, but when it comes to the little detour break that he took, he wrote I guess you could call it a mini series, but it was like 30 issues or something
like that.
Where Otto Octavius ends up being successful in killing Spider-Man, and he actually takes his body and he becomes in his mind the superior Spider-Man. He starts using his intellect. He starts changing a bunch of things about Spider-Man's life, and then you find out that Spider-Man's living inside of his brain, like the very first issue. And then eventually Otto has to face the fact that despite the fact that he is a good, he was trying his best with his intellect to be Spider-Man, he can't compare to Peter Parker, and he just lets New York get absolutely fucked by Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Eventually, Peter Parker ends up taking back over his body. They remove Otto's consciousness from his body, and then Spider-Man goes back to town and just gets it done, baby.
Yeah, I love that run, and I think the reason I like it so much is because it's so unique, where a lot of Spider-Man comics seem very samey, and the status quo never changes all that much, and nothing really stands out in most Spider-Man runs.
Or if it does change, it's awful. Like all the stuff with the spider totems, where like Moreland shows up and he's like, "You're actually a intergalactic spider demon thing, and I'm gonna eat you." It's just, that's weird. The whole thing was weird.
Yeah, but the Superior Spider-Man stuff was fun, and seeing Otto try to be a hero was fun. And then like the first time he hits a guy, he's like,
that was sick.
I didn't know he was that strong. He's never hit me that hard. So that's great. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. Alfred Molina back, of course. He's amazing in the second film. And so, like you said about the Spider-Man PS4, he's a sympathetic villain, and he's at the end of the day, he knows what he's doing is wrong, and despite the influence of the arms. So we'll see how they handle that.
I'm cracking up at a couple of Michael Myers' comments are getting to me. We were asking who you want to see back in terms of villains, and the first one he said is, "How about Mr. Dickovich?" He's just like, Green Goblin takes his mask off. He's like, "Rent, Parker."
Forget that. I want Bonesaw. Oh, I got you for 3 minutes.
Rest in peace to the king, Macho Man Randy Savage. Also, he also said, "I want to see J. Jonah Jameson," which J.K. Simmons coming back in this universe's J. Jonah Jameson as well.
Don't like him bald. I mean,
we're
I can say that. Throw a wig on him.
If we're talking about like all-time iconic roles, when they cast
just perfect
J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, Rami knew what he was doing. He was like, no one else can do this. Like, it's in the bag. You're finished.
Right.
So, J.K. Simmons is just a great actor in general anyway.
Mm-hmm. Whiplash, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Is that the one with Iron Man in it?
With
Whiplash.
Oh.
My board. I want my board.
I thought you were asking if Robert Downey Jr. was in Whiplash. I was like, huh?
It's Whiplash standalone movie.
Yeah, Miles Teller's in that.
Just him hunting his bird down.
That's Mr. Fantastic versus, James Gordon, J. Jonah Jameson, Omni-Man.
Yep. He did somebody Brightburn 1985 did immediately brought up Jim Gordon a second ago, and they wanted to know what we thought about him. Garrick's talked about it a lot in the past. I mean,
there's really not a lot to say.
Yeah, there's not a lot. He's just not in a lot of scenes.
He's going to be in the he's going to be back.
Yeah.
That was just recently confirmed. He's going to be in the Batgirl movie. A lot of people were wondering if he was going to be recast since a person of color was cast as Batgirl, but she'll just be mixed or adopted or whatever.
It is what it is.
So I'm excited to see him back and see what he brings to the character. And then, of course, we have Jeffrey Wright's going to be playing Gordon in the Batman.
God, he's an awesome actor.
I love him. So he's the Watcher right now. But, yeah, we've got a ton of great actors coming back. And speaking of actors coming back, we got to talk about the speculation surrounding two individuals named Andrew and Toby, respectively.
Yep. Yeah. So there's been it's a common thing that has been speculated for quite some time, and it seems all but confirmed at this point through leaked set images and other things that it's looking more and more like that. In fact, it's pretty much confirmed that Toby Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be back in their respective roles. Again, not 100% sure if it's going to be those versions of Peter Parker from their respective universes, but chances are it's probably going to be due to the fact that why not bring them back in that role if you're going to bring them back at all. And if that's the case, I think that they're probably going to drop that in some capacity in the next trailer, and if they don't, they're absolutely stupid, because you're leaving just insane levels of, I mean, if they have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the next trailer, that movie will outsell every other movie in history, and it's not at all going to be hard for them to do it. Like Endgame was a great movie, made a lot of money. This movie will blow that movie out of the water. It's just I think people don't realize that Spider-Man outsells every other comic book character in terms of merchandising by like a drastic margin.
Right.
I was looking up this information to do some research on a video that I eventually scrapped, because when I started writing it, I was like, this is kind of boring me, and I don't think it's going to make other people interested. But I started looking up the merchandising for different characters a couple years ago, because I wanted to know, who's the most popular? It's Spider-Man, and it's not even close. It's like if you add it this was like a couple years ago before the Avengers really broke through. But if you added Batman sales, Superman sales, and like everybody else together, they still weren't touching Spider-Man, because he's that popular with kids.
Right.
So, I mean, Marvel just knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. And those, of course, the Raimi trilogy especially is so beloved by everyone that grew up during that time, and even newer audiences that have been able to see it, not in theaters, but on Blu-ray or streaming or whatever. And those movies are so... I guess entrenched in not only nostalgia, but just the fact that they're very, very good. And that was like the last time we saw Spider-Man stand alone as a character and carry his own trilogy, and the more, Tom Holland, of course, leans a lot on the Avengers and a lot on the pre-established universe that preceded him. Whereas Toby was his, own thing. And there are people, of course, out there, the naysayers, but by and large, those movies are beloved, 1, 2, and 3. And 1 and 2 are some of the like most critically acclaimed superhero movies of all time, especially 2. So, I mean,
Spider-Man 3 is also one of those movies that, like, It has some cringe moments for sure, but most comic book movies have cringe moments, and it's still fun to watch. Like
at the core, it's still got a great message.
I've never watched that movie, and I've probably seen it maybe 2 or 3 dozen times. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
And there's nothing about that movie that is so overwhelmingly bad that I can't enjoy it. Thomas Church's Sandman is a fantastic performance. Even James Franco as Harry Osborn has a good arc within that story to tell. Peter's a goofball, especially when he gets the symbiote. He has the dance stuff.
I love. How can you not love it?
That stuff.
It's just fun.
The really big downfall that everybody points to is Topher Grace's Venom, and I still think that he played an interesting version of Eddie Brock.
When he's on his knees praying to God that Peter Parker dies.
Not like jacked to the gills like he would be in the comics, but it is like, it's fine. It works. Who cares?
Yeah. It serves the story.
And the thing that Garrick, bringing up the nostalgia factor is so important, because we're at a very nostalgia heavy part of merchandising and marketing right now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, He-Man, a lot of these things that were big in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of that stuff is coming back because people want to make better versions of the stuff that they grow up with, or newer versions of that stuff. And the people that grew up with that are like, hell yeah, I'm on board. Let me buy it. Let me support it. Let me do, I have money now. My parents said no in 87, but they can't say no in 2027, like whatever it happens to be. But they are, this Rami nostalgia, that universe. It's when you see Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, that's a ticket sold to anybody that was born in
That's gonna put a tear to my eye.
Exactly. Garrett cried. He cried in the car yesterday, just thinking about it. I was like, you haven't even seen him yet. He was like,
Yeah, he's gonna be good. And then of course Andrew's coming back as well. Those movies not as beloved.
No.
There are of course the people that grew up with those films are a little older now. Those movies came out, a while ago. So they're starting to come into adulthood, and they're like, hey, I like those movies because they grew up with them, even though I just rewatched them and they both suck. There are people that like that version of Spider-Man, even though he's a complete asshole and a dickhead. And Gwen Stacy, I like Gwen Stacy a lot.
I'll fight to the death on his version of Spider-Man being comic accurate. Spider-Man's villains hate him, and he hates them because he belittles them. Spider-Man's sense of humor is very, very toxic. Like, he's very much the type of hero that especially if you read like the first 100 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, all he does is belittle his base of heroes. He's a very funny character. Joe Kelly based his interpretation of Deadpool, which is like the one that everybody likes, off of Spider-Man's personality, except he kind of ramped up the asshole portion of it. So Spider-Man's villains hate him because he treats them badly. They're villains, they're going to be bad guys anyway, but Spider-Man does his best job to make sure that they hate him on a very personal level as well. So, But I think that Andrew Garfield kind of did a good job with that. He was trapped in like this weird verse of like Lizard looked really bad. That story was like nonsensical. His motivations didn't make any sense. He was like, I'm gonna be evil for a reason. Let's turn everybody into a salamander. Like, nothing about that made sense. And then the second one, I can't think of anything really. I like the action sequences with Electro, but there's just nothing good about it other than that, really. Like the Harry Osborn stuff is so bad. There's videos out there that have millions of views deconstructing why that movie is bad, and chances are you've probably seen them.
Yeah, there's probably just as many saying it's good, but if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, who cares?
It's not for me. Yeah. I personally, he's coming back and that's cool, but I don't have that much emotional investment in it. So it is what it is. But Toby coming back has got my mind off the rails.
Do you think that
excited?
Do you think that there is room in this scene, maybe in this universe, for Tobey Maguire to stop another train?
There's plenty of room.
Yeah.
There's plenty of trains.
I mean, we saw that shot of like a train with like other trains spiraling down.
He can stop all 6 of them.
It might take all 3 Spider-Man all holding hands like this, being like, son of a bitch, why did we sign up for this? And then they stop all 6 trains.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is drastically stronger than the other Spider-Man from their verses. So maybe he just does it himself. Mm-hmm. Goddamn, gets in the Iron Spider suit, and he's like, don't worry about it. I'll just stop it like this.
Yeah, one hand. And I think what is most exciting about this prospect is to, of course, we get to see the character again, but getting to learn a little bit more about him. What's been going on in his life? Mm-hmm. We haven't seen him since 2008. Did that movie come out? 2005 or something?
Are you talking about Spider-Man 3? Yeah.
2005?
Yeah, because it was 2000.
Yeah, 2008 was Iron Man, The Dark Knight, all that stuff. So, yeah, it was before that. But we haven't seen him in a while. What's been going on? Is he, him and MJ married? What's going on?
They got a little spider kid running around?
Yeah, they got a little girl, a little
renew
boy
your
or
vows
something.
situation?
Yeah, or is his life dog shit?
Yeah.
Who knows? I want to know what's going on with my guy. What's he been doing? How many other villains has he taken out? He's like, yeah, I've got like 50 of them, and I kick their asses regularly. You've got 2, and you broke the multiverse.
This Into the Spider-Verse did a really good job with kind of showing maybe not the exact version, but like a warped version of what that Spider-Man turned out to be like, where he's kind of like a little fat. His whole life is shitty. He's eating pizza alone in his apartment. And Spider-Man is very much like that. Like has this cyclical nature in the comic books where things will go good for a little while, and then his life will turn into like absolute
can't
dog
get out
shit.
of his own way. Yeah,
exactly. So it'd be interesting to see if we got a rundown.
2007, people are saying.
Yeah, we got a rundown of like where he's at. So that would be fun. And then Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, what's he been up to?
I don't care.
Yeah, I was just setting you up.
Who? He's gonna start telling his backstory. I'm gonna yell, "Who asked, buddy?" Toby was talking.
Toby finishes, and he's like, "Well, actually," and Tom's like, "We don't have time for that." And then they just go off.
Didn't your love interest die?
Yeah. Didn't you snap her spine with your web shooter? My girlfriend's over there, and she's bad.
Oh, Gwen Stacy died in your universe? I saved her in mine, idiot.
Easy peasy. Goblin tried to kill her, and I was like, "This is simple. This is a typical Tuesday afternoon."
Well, look, in Spider-Man 3, she fallen from the sky, and Spider-Man saves her.
Mm-hmm. Macy Gray was down there. She didn't get hurt either. She was singing. I don't remember.
That was in the first one. He saves Gwen Stacy in the third one.
Yeah. Damn it.
She was there in the first one, though.
She might have been there in the third one. You don't know. You didn't see everybody in the audience.
You're right. I wasn't keeping track of everyone.
This is actually some deep lore that I read the whole Ramiverse encyclopedia, and I found out
in the novelization she was there.
She was there.
Yeah, she was watching it, and there's a whole chapter that takes her perspective of Gwen Stacy almost dying. So that'll
I gotta turn my mic off.
That'll be fun, but it'll be cool to not only get a little bit more of their backstory, but to see the Spider-Men interact and share experiences between one another, and pass on advice. There have been like these cringe memes of people like saying Toby comes out of like a portal or the multiverse, and Tom is like, Uncle Ben? No, we don't want that shit. I don't want Tobey Maguire being the Uncle Ben of this universe. That would be horrible. But I would like them to have a conversation about what inspired them and who inspired them, and bring up Uncle Ben for the first time in the MCU. I think that would be cool. Because of course both characters are so Andrew and Toby are so closely knit to their uncle, and he formed the way they see the world. And maybe that happened for Tom, we don't know, but you can't separate either of those two characters from their Uncle Ben. Whereas
who had a better death scene? Which Uncle Ben?
For sure the Raimi trilogy. That's so good. When he's getting carjacked, and he's like, listen, we can work this out, we can do something, let me help you, let me talk to you. He was just such a great guy. And then in Amazing Spider-Man, some dude stole $50 from a convenience store, and then so he's running away and trips, and a gun comes out.
He comes out blasting.
And for some reason Uncle Ben thinks, oh, there's a guy with a gun, let me let me run at the gun. And the guy wasn't waving it around, just fell out of his pants. And he's like, I'll take care, and then died like an idiot.
To be fair, though, that version of Uncle Ben, there wasn't a lot of superheroes in that verse. I think what was happening is he was just saying, maybe I'm a superhero.
Maybe
we don't know.
It's me.
We don't know. There was some.
Maybe it's I'm the old guy that stops the people with the guns that trip.
Exactly.
Come up with a better name.
Maybe that's going to be my arc. That'll be my arc, and then I'll become this universe's first Avenger.
Yeah.
And instead, he just ate bullet to the stomach.
So yeah, it was definitely the Raimi trilogy for sure, and that's no bias. That's no bias. Listen, I'm biased, but this scene you can't. There's no arguing.
I'm just writing a fan fiction in my head where Nick Fury shows up and he's like, "Hey, where's Ben?" I was gonna let him be Captain America, but he's fucking dead now.
Agent
All right,
Coulson,
I'll go,
sir. Asset is down.
Yeah. So there's so many possibilities with this. It's going to be interesting to see whatever they do with the characters. And how long they're on the screen together, how much interaction that they have.
I hope it's a lot. Just get the spell out of the way in the first 10 minutes, and let's just get this thing going.
I think that from what I'm hearing, the movie has an over 2.5 hour possible runtime.
Good. I got the time,
and that is again entirely speculation that I've seen off of Twitter. I don't consider that to be a spoiler. I just think it could be wishful thinking from the internet, but from what I'm hearing, it's about 2.5 hours of actual footage and runtime, and it'll be very cool. I don't know long term, if they do this, what the long term plans for that would be, or what a secret scene could even be for a film like this. Hopefully, they don't go there's a multiverse, there's multiple Spider-Man. We could get even more of them involved, and then let's introduce this Moreland guy who eats them, kind of a thing. Because I would end it all. I'd be done forever. Well,
Nick is anti more Spider-Man, but I am pro more Spider-Man. I think you use this opportunity. Give me Spider-Man 4. Mm-hmm. I'll watch it today. Give me Amazing Spider-Man 3. Give me a new Spider-Man movie every couple months. I don't care. Give me a Miles Morales movie. Give me everything.
One thing that's interesting to think about, another piece of speculation that's coming out, and I'm not necessarily sure if this is people that are in the know, so if this ends up being true, I apologize. It's purely speculation. Is some people are talking about there being a possibility that we do see a version of Miles Morales in this movie as well, which I think would be a great addition to just live action in general. That character has certainly become much more than just a Peter Parker clone. He's very interesting. He has a very loyal fan base, which is very large. Mm-hmm. Both of my kids know exactly who Miles Morales is. And that's really great for them. Actually, in fact, my youngest one is named after him. So there's a lot of really cool opportunity for Miles Morales to join the MCU. And I want Miles Morales to be in the MCU, not just because he's a great character and because I think he has a lot of potential and it could really kickstart some more, his involvement in even bigger, better stories, but also because I own 2 copies of his first appearance, and those will shoot up in value, and I just want to flex on Instagram about it. Is that?
Hey, everyone, check it out. I got Ultimate Fallout 4, but do you have the previews where his first appearance was actually in that?
It's a polybagged.
But yeah, I have 2 number 1s of his, but I have 1 Ultimate Fallout. I think that's my most expensive comic now. It's like a $700 book, Ultimate Fallout 4.
Yeah, raw.
It's
exploded. Who would have thought that a Spider-Man who's very popular and on lunchboxes and jackets and T-shirts would be popular? Who knew?
But as far as Miles Morales goes, personally, if they brought in a multiverse one and was okay, he's here, that would be fine. But it's still too early for me in the MCU. I feel like you've got a lot of emotional payoff at a potential Tom Holland death, maybe in 10 years, and then you're like, all right, now we're coming into Miles Morales, and he has to deal with that like he did in the comic books. It's just, let's think about the longevity of the universe. Do you want the MCU to go on for another 20 years? Another 10, 15 years?
Here's what I want, though.
You're building it.
What if they do like a Roger Rabbit scenario and they bring in the animated Miles Morales from that universe, and then he's all wacky, That would be... No? Okay.
No.
All right, I'll set the next few plays out.
You know, in any case, we're excited to see both of those characters.
Do you think we'll get any villains in this film that we don't already know about? Like, do you think there'll be anybody new in any capacity, like maybe a demon that messes with, the time
maybe.
stream? Do you think, or maybe
Could be.
Fucking Hobgoblin is the actual Goblin that we see instead of Green Goblin, because in that universe it was William Dafoe turned into a different person. I'm just like spitballing to see if there's any opportunity to see something different.
I don't think I would like a Mephisto type puppeteer being like behind the scenes. I think that would be kind of lame. I just want to see 6 Spider-Man villains just show up and be like,
hello,
Peter. We're bad guys, and just start messing up the city. And
like
then
they give the Harley Quinn line, we're bad guys.
Exactly.
You guys.
And then
it's what we do, you guys.
Amazing
God,
writing.
the Suicide
I don't
Squad
know.
first one is terrible.
Had to get it in there.
You have to bring it up every podcast.
But yeah, I just hope they show up and start doing nefarious stuff. Like, I don't know how much of a like crazy convoluted plan they need. I think they just need to show up and be like, we all hate Spider-Man, right? Yeah. Let's fucking kill him. There's 3 of them.
And then afterwards, we'll go to Waffle House. And then, like, they're all buddies.
They have their, like, shawarma scene at the end of Avengers.
You know what's weird? And that makes sense because, like, some of my best, like, they always tell you, like, oh, you always become friends with people who you have similar interests with. Most of my really good friends, I became friends with because we were both, like, I don't like that thing. And like, I don't like that thing either. You want to be friends and just dislike that thing over there? Yeah, that's awesome. Like that's how it is with you kids. It's how it is with adults. Like every friend of mine at work is not a friend of mine because we have things in common. It's because we both dislike something about work and we love bitching about it, and then we've just talked about our kids and other things. And that's probably what the villains will do. They'll show up and they'll be like, I hate being at work. Spider-Man is a dick. Yeah, I don't like him either. You want to be friends? Awesome.
They're all gonna be like, it's gonna be like, roll call, please. Willem Dafoe comes down. He's like, I hate Spider-Man. Alfred Molina, you hate Spider-Man? I do hate Spider-Man. Jamie Foxx, do you hate Spider-Man? Yeah, I hate him. Sandman, do you hate him? I hate him as well. Lizard, you hate this guy?
Salamanders.
Can't stand him. Vulture, to be honest, I kind of like him.
He dated my daughter.
I don't like this Tony Stark guy. Well, you're out of the 6. He's fine.
You know what we haven't talked about?
We need a replacement.
We haven't talked about it at all.
Go ahead.
I just saw mentions of it in here. Thank you, chat. Specifically,
yep. Go ahead.
Japuma 630. The person I care about the most, really, in this film, possibly coming back, is Matt Murdock, Daredevil. That's the character that I want to see come back the most.
I've been waiting the entire podcast to talk about it. Trust me, it's been on the tip of my tongue, but I wanted to make sure we got through Spider-Man before we talked about.
We're not through with Spider-Man at all. We'll get back to that, but let's talk about Daredevil now.
Okay,
Daredevil is confirmed to be the best MCU character. MCU show. All 3 seasons are flawless.
The best MCU character.
All 3 seasons are flawless. If you say season 2 was weird, you're weird. Season 3, possibly the best season of any comic book show of all time ever.
Any show of all time, maybe.
It's just fantastic. Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, fantastic casting choice. I'm going to support it forever. Little piece of trivia about Charlie Cox you might not know. Garrick and I met his wife at New York Comic Con, and she was very delightful.
Yep.
That's it. Okay, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are extensive and expansive. To be honest,
extends.
We can go a couple. I can go a couple hours on this topic.
Good, because we're going all night.
So here's the thing: when the trailer first leaked, everyone was going crazy because they saw you couldn't really hear it. I hear that you couldn't hear it. I didn't watch it. But there are a lot of screenshots coming out of the police officer that you do see in the trailer, and people are like, is this Matt Murdock? Is this Matt Murdock? And everyone was like, it was so pixelated and horrible, and the saturation was so bad, and the lighting was horrible because, again, like you said, it was through 7 different screens all recording each other, and it looked like the guy had the Daredevil glasses on. the John Lennons.
Yep.
And everyone was like, that's him. But it turns out he didn't even have glasses on. That's how horrible the trailer looked.
Yep.
So after that, everyone was like, okay, it's not him. But there is a guy that leans over the table while Peter's in the police station, and he's looking through stuff. He's got his sleeves rolled up a little bit. He's wearing a white shirt and a tie. Everyone says, is that my boy Matty? And then you also see another guy outside of the room, arms crossed, thick butt. That's important because Charlie Cox, everyone knows that he's got a massive dump truck.
He is double cheeked up on a Tuesday.
And he's got his arms crossed and he's in deep shadow.
You know who else hangs out in the shadows in the comics? Daredevil.
And also in the show. So we have
Is it all coming together for you yet?
We have these 2 shots of this unknown man who may or may not be a police officer or a lawyer. Founder of Nelson and Murdoch.
I'm fairly confident that he's already confirmed for this. Like, they've seen him, the actor, scrounging around over there.
Scrounging around.
They know he's been around there. Who else is going to support Spider-Man at a trial? She-Hulk? We haven't even met that actress yet. It has to be Maddie.
Yeah.
Has to be Matthew.
It's got to be Maddie with the fatty butt. And I hope that it is.
I hope that nickname catches on as well.
A little wrench in the story is that Charlie Cox did have an interview either last night or today with comicbook.com, and they pulled up the screenshot. They said, "Are these your forearms?" And he said, "No, those are not my forearms." But if they were, he couldn't say anyway because he signed an NDA. Woo. He would be in violation of that if he answered any other way. If he said, "I refuse to say," we all know that's
exactly.
He might as well just say, "That's me, motherfucker."
That is the equivalent.
He can't say it.
That's the equivalent of like when you ask your girlfriend or your wife, if you say, "How are you?" Like they go, "I'm fine." They're not. If somebody says
or
to you,
significant other,
if you ask somebody, "Are you in Spider-Man?" and they say, "I can't talk about it," they're in Spider-Man. Those are facts.
You just say no if you're not.
You just say no. You know, I mean, that's a little trick you can use all the time.
But he cannot answer the question. He was asked in an interview, "Is this you?" He has no other answer but no.
Exactly.
If he says yes, he's in violation. If he says, "I can't talk about it," everyone knows that means yes. If he says no, it could mean no.
But here's how we know that he's in it. Because Matt Murdock knows all about NDAs. He's a lawyer. He would know not to break it. Therefore, the actor playing him would also know that. Because somehow, those 2 people are the same in my brain.
Okay, so spoiler time. I'm going to spoil something that we've already talked about in the podcast, but I'm just going to spoil it. 3, 2, 1. Andrew Garfield is in the film. Tobey Maguire's in the film. There are set photos confirmed. They're both in the movie.
We've seen them.
Andrew Garfield has been on record multiple times saying, "I'm not in the film."
Andrew FaceTimed me the other day, and he was in the costume.
Said, "I'm not in the movie," but he is in the movie. So that could be Charlie Cox. And the other thing is reliable, consistent, unflappable, guys you can trust to have your back in the heat of war. Leakers, spoilers, scoopers, every single reliable one that I've seen and I trust.
He doesn't trust, and that's the thing.
Said that Charlie Cox is in the movie. 100%, 100% confirmed he's in the movie. These scoopers have said it. And these are guys that I've personally never seen get anything wrong as far as they're making their calls or their scoops on Twitter.
Garrick doesn't trust easily, believe me, but he trusts these people.
Yeah.
Complete strangers he's never met.
Yeah.
So take that as you will.
So I hate to tell you, but Charlie Cox, I'm getting my hopes way up, and he's in it. And here's the thing.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
It's going to be...
Kevin Feige's out front of my door.
Oh.
Yeah, he wants us to get off the air. He said we're giving too much info out.
He can come in and we can talk about it.
I'm going to get him.
All right, go get him. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. I think he's going to be in the movie, and I'm going to be disappointed if he's not. I'm going to be heartbroken. It's going to be great to see Toby. It's going to be great to see Andrew again. It's going to be great to see all the villains again. But I'm going to be absolutely crushed if he's not in it. I'm going to be sitting in the theater waiting. Anytime now, don't worry. Don't worry. They're going to be in the final fight scene against the Sinister Six. He'll show up. He'll be there.
He just walks by and eats is eating a hot dog, and Garrick's like, "We did it!" Yeah, the whole movie's worth it.
That'll be my Captain America Endgame moment. But
if he's not, this is Garrick's Joker origin story
for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be very, very upset. Yeah, very mad. And anyone that's been rude to me at a dinner, you better be careful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Spectrum executives, you know who you are.
Exactly.
Yep.
But yeah. Hopefully he's in it. And it would be great, personally, if he is in the film, I will literally take anything. If he's in one scene, he can be 3 lines of dialogue, that's fine. But if maybe he puts the Daredevil suit on and kicks a little ass, I'm not going to complain about it.
Why would you?
I'm just saying.
I kind of want to get my Daredevil action figure out right now.
Start playing with them on camera.
Yeah, it would just be nice to see that character come back. You know, Daredevil's such a good street level hero that it would be cool to see him get to be in the MCU proper. One of the biggest things that we consistently complained about on podcasts in the past and just in our personal lives and at a nice dinner, pretty much anywhere we can bring the topic up, is how much of a wasted opportunity a lot of these Marvel previous to Disney Plus shows, how much wasted opportunity they had. Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Inhumans never came out, but like Punisher, all of those shows that came out never got a chance to actually really truly cross over in a significant capacity with other in-film MCU actors. So by kind of the virtue of the way that they were all designed, they never really felt like a part of that universe outside of us being told like loosely, like, hey, remember the battle in New York? Remember that? Okay, let's go back to our story. And it just never really felt like those characters were there. So it'd be cool to see at least one of them be able to shine. And then if you want to make another Daredevil series and immediately after that, then I'm not going to complain. Maybe lock it in for 6, 7, 12 seasons. Who knows?
Yeah, I just got super triggered, and I'm going to tell you why.
Triggered.
Like, big time. Mm-hmm. I'm mad now.
Okay.
And here's the reason. You're talking about how much of a wasted opportunity not using these characters in the greater MCU was, and you're right.
Yep.
And the biggest issue I have was the writers of Infinity War were going to use the Defenders. They were, Endgame. They were going to show up.
Yep.
For Endgame. They had planned to use the characters, and then they had discussed it a little bit more. I don't know why. There's no more need for a discussion.
Yep.
You came up with the idea. Perfect. Great. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
The thought that they had in their head was,
what if they didn't see those shows?
Yeah. The audience is going to be like, who the hell are these people? And that wouldn't be cool, so we're going to take them out. But the thing is, if those characters were in the movie, and maybe they don't do a lot, maybe just showing them coming out of the portal would be enough.
Mm-hmm.
It would be. If they did literally nothing else but were in the background, that's fine.
Yep.
It's not like you had to make them Avengers and like give them lines or anything.
Yeah, they're Defenders.
It wouldn't have affected the movie at all. It would have just made it better.
That whole end sequence was just nothing.
Do you think it would have not made $2 billion if the Defenders came out of a portal? People would have been like, I love the movie, but I didn't know who these 5 people were.
So I got up and left.
Yeah, and you shouldn't see it. Nobody should go see it. Like,
they put the kid from Iron Man 3 at Tony Stark's funeral, and nobody in my screening except me and like 2 other people knew who it was. And I'm like, you put that kid in? The potato gun kid, but you didn't put in these heroes. The guy who can't be hurt by conventional weapons at all, Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short.
If he's not in this movie, there's going to be a problem.
Hold on. Jack asks us, why is it important for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to be in this movie? we just did an hour about why it's important.
It's important.
But to boil it down, it comes down to two factors. One, nostalgia. Nostalgia is incredibly powerful feeling. We need these characters to be in there because it allows us to relive our youth. And the second, and most important reason why these characters have to and should be included in this film is because I collect Marvel Legends, and they don't have like a really good Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and I need those figures. So let's get them in the film, buddy.
That's the biggest reason. And if they come out with a Tobey Maguire hot toy,
Garrick's already got it on pre-order.
Might mess around and order a few. Garrick, you gonna scalp them? No, I'm gonna put 3 of them right next to each other.
I'm gonna put one next to I'm gonna put one hanging from my shower head in my bathtub.
I'm gonna paint my own variants. So yeah, it's important because I don't know, be cool.
Yeah, I mean,
do you need any other reason?
That is literally like comic books are one of those films where one of those genres where I feel like people overanalyze aspects of it. Like I've been seeing so much negativity around the Marvel What If shows that we're gonna do a complete breakdown of all these episodes later on. But people are like, oh, I don't like this aspect and that aspect of it, or there's not enough character building or world building, or there's not enough this and that. And it's like, do you guys ever just stop and think, what if I just watch something because it's fucking cool? Like there's just, I don't need to scientifically break down every aspect of whether or not Captain Carter would be physically stronger than Steve Rogers. She would be, by the way. But it's just one of those things where sometimes you just want cool shit to happen in movies. I don't need a lot of exposition in a film where there's 3 Spider-Mans. I don't need that. I just need to watch them do cool shit, weird tricks with each other, say funny things, and then kick ass. Like, that's what I need. I don't need it to win an Oscar. I just need it to be fun and cool, and to leave the theater and be like, I need to buy shit related to what I just saw.
I need the Batman to win an Oscar.
That's true. Yeah.
But I need Spider-Man to be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, Batman will win every Oscar.
It better.
It looks like the Saw of, like, it looks dark.
I'm super excited for DC Fandom, and let's do another live stream. What do you say?
Yeah, we're gonna
like 7 a.m. actually. You probably can't do that.
We're gonna do it. He'll be over.
It's on a weekday.
Yeah, we'll make it fun.
Were you gonna take the day off?
Who cares?
Okay.
Yeah. Key issue is paying the rent anyway. No, so I don't have anything else. Do you?
Unless we want to do a quick Q&A. Other than that, we can
got. If you guys have any questions about Spider-Man, about anything that's going on, whether it be Marvel related, DC related, any thoughts that you want of ours, drop them in the chat section right now. We're gonna hang out for another maybe 10 minutes here to answer any questions that you guys have, and then we'll call it a night, as we typically do. So the first question I have is from Michael Myers. He asks, do you think we will see Deadpool in Spider-Man 3? I don't think so. I think that's just too much. I know that Marvel has plans for Deadpool, but he is not necessarily going to be within the greater MCU.
He is.
So I think that it would be super fun for him to end up there.
I don't think I don't think Marvel Studios is making any more movies that are outside of the MCU.
The interesting thing about Deadpool is that, like, a long time ago, somebody put out an idea that I think Marvel would be insane not to use, and it's the idea that all of these films are PG-13. And I think it would be fun if it was very evident that Deadpool realized that he was being censored by something that he couldn't control. Like, he kept talking and he's like, what is going on? Like, I just think that would be fun, because obviously Deadpool can break the fourth wall, which is his most, identifiable feature of his personality in the comic books. So for him to be able to talk to and narrate the story to the audience while realizing that he can't say certain words and things because of the film's rating would also be really funny. Next question. Sorry. What if it's at a cost of a better... Oh, Jack's asking me about Toby and Andrew again. He wants to know, what if it's at the cost of a better movie? Doesn't No Way Home have a lot going on with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse, Sinister Six, and Peter's identity reveal in the last movie? Yeah, that's for the writers to figure out. Like, if the movie ends up being bad, then it's bad. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. But I think including those characters, I think that we've all kind of decided collectively that if you're going to have a multiverse, we better see other versions of these characters in some capacity. It's not truly a multiverse to me if you don't have multiple versions of Doctor Strange, of Spider-Man, of Hulk, of that's kind of what If is exploring, this idea that there's multiple universes that have different character outcomes that exist. And the Fox X-Men universe that Disney now owns, and the Spider-Man verse that's out there that Sony has allowed us to graciously use, is part of it. If it's at the, as you said, if it's at the expense of a better movie, it's not
impossible to know.
Exactly, it's not for us to determine. That's for the writers and the director to make the best movie that they can. If at the end it turns out that those decisions were not for the best, then at least they tried. At least they did something. Rather than nothing.
Yeah, it comes down to time management mostly, and we talked about in our last podcast a film with juggling multiple characters and made it work.
And just to point out too, Jack, I'm not ripping on you. I'm not giving you a hard time. I
just answering.
You said the same thing. You said you love MCU Spider-Man. I'm just scared there'll be too much going on for one movie, and I totally agree. That's always it's the same thing when you have Avengers, any team up movie, whether it be Endgame, Infinity War, Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy, Justice League, all these other team up films, Defenders, all these things that exist. There's always a feeling that there could just not be enough space for all of these characters, and it's a very real possibility. But you know what? At least we're going to get it in some capacity.
They'll try. And I don't think Doctor Strange is going to have that much involvement. I think he's going to do the spell and then kind of work in the background to fix it. I think we're mostly going to focus on the 3 Spider-Men, and then the villains, of course, will be a little bit more of like accessories to the film. But I think it's mostly probably going to be focused on those 3. And I mean, take a look at Into the Spider-Verse. It was really focused on Miles was the main character. Of course, it's a Miles Morales movie, and then Peter B. Parker, and Gwen Stacy, and everyone else was sort of like supplementary support characters.
But they still worked. There was just enough of them to get the job done.
Right.
Sorry. Helen asks, would you simp for MCU Aunt May? And it's not really a would you question. It's we already are. That's done. Marissa Tomei is my cousin Vinny. Yeah. She's been a baddie forever. So we already are. What's next? If not Daredevil, who else would be cool to make a cameo? I'm assuming in Spider-Man 3. If not Daredevil, who else would you like to see make a cameo?
If it's not Daredevil, then I don't want anyone.
That's a bold stance. I'm going to pick Danny Rand. But
Danny Rand, I would love to see Danny Rand in Shang-Chi.
I'm just picking other heroes that are hanging out in New York City. Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, any one of those. Luke Cage is right now, he's like the kingpin of Harlem. So any of those characters would be great. But eventually, for those of you guys who don't read comics,
Punisher just starts gunning down the Sinister Six.
It would be interesting to see our version, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, kind of outclassed by these heroes, and maybe realizing that he needs a little bit of help in the martial arts department, as occurred in the comic books. Iron Fist does eventually train Spider-Man in martial arts, so that'd be a really cool arc. Also, Shang-Chi has some crossover with Iron Fist, some crossovers with Spider-Man in the past as well, so that could be something that's cool. But again, we're really kind of sticking with the idea of the Defenders because of what it would mean to the
Kingpin
MCU.
would be sick.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to see Kingpin.
There's so many rumors about that as well, but who knows.
Yeah.
Think Prowler is going to be a thing in this movie and link back to Miles. He's in Homecoming, so it wouldn't be totally new.
I don't know. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, you'd have to introduce a whole new character. That'd be kind of
out of like.
We'd have to introduce Miles, and we'd have to introduce, like, we've already know that there's a Miles Morales in the MCU due to Glover's character in Homecoming, but I think it's too much. You'd have to establish it would have to be an Easter egg form in some capacity,
or maybe a post-credit scene.
Exactly. Doctor Strange is going to have as much involvement as he did in Endgame. Should Mr. Negative be introduced soon? It's possible. Yeah. We did see signs of Feast, the place in Spider-Man 4 where not Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man 4 PS4, where Aunt May works and Peter volunteers occasionally, which is also closely associated with Mr. Negative. So it's possible that he could be in there. Again, it would probably be an Easter egg format. I'd like to see like a live action Mr. Negative. That character was cool, but who knows? And then let's see, anything else?
I think there are too many other Spider-Man villains that are like more iconic that I'd rather see done well, like Rhino and
Scorpion,
yeah. So I'd probably rather see one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. So that's about it, right? In terms of questions, I think we're pretty much good right now. We've rolled a little bit over, but who cares? It's fun. We had a good time.
Right.
Garrick was like, we're going to do a whole hour on Spider-Man No Way Home's trailer. And I was like, I don't want to do a whole hour. But this was probably the most fun I've had on a podcast in a while. I mean, at least for 2 weeks.
Spider-Man, brings the conversation.
He brings it out of you.
Yeah, for sure.
That goddamn arachnid.
Gotta love him.
He's a menace is what he is.
Fucking webhead.
Yeah. Bring me pictures of him if you can.
Yeah.
You're hosting.
You're right.
I was going to say, I'd bring it out.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, your host will conclude the podcast. And the host, of course, is me, Garrick. Thank you. Hi. Nice to meet you. So we talked about Spider-Man. We're super excited for it. We're pumped to see what's going on with Doctor Strange and why his life is in shambles. We're excited to see what happens to our Peter Parker and his relationships to the other characters within his universe. We're excited to see the Sinister Six and all the new actors or all the old actors coming back to play the characters.
Yep.
We're excited to see Toby and Andrew.
Hell yeah.
And hopefully we see Daredevil. We're excited for everything.
Holy shit. We almost forgot the most important thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Natalie Portman.
Of course. And I think maybe, honestly, maybe we should start shouting out Charlie Cox's big fat ass.
Ooh, the Charlie Cox's dumper.
Yeah, every week. We'll think about it.
We'll get a GIF or like a bell or something. Like
every time we get a subscriber, we'll put up.
We'll just hit the button and then it'll be just like Matt Murdock, like from behind, like Christopher Maloney in Law & Order SVU.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're excited for it. I think my fears have been, have subsided.
They call me the man with no fear, so I'm good.
Yeah, so
Daredevil,
that is. And if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen a great thumbnail of an upcoming Daredevil video that I've got coming out. Going to be talking about how...
Who knows when it'll come out.
Great Daredevil is. It's going to come out as soon as that next trailer drops and Daredevil's in the trailer.
Garrick...
And if he's not in the trailer, I am ruined.
I started an alt account on Twitter where I just post thumbnails for videos that Garrick never made.
I do that myself. There's no reason for you to ever do that, but I probably do send you a bunch where I'm like, what do you think of this?
I'm like, that looks dope. Are you making that video? And you're like, no, I just want it to look cool. I was gonna power scale Hulk, but not anymore. You said it looked cool. Our subs would love that. Yeah, I don't have time. I'm gonna make this video on Ghost Rider.
Yeah, which actually that's at 1 million views. So
is it really?
It's almost at 900,000.
That's awesome.
It could get there, so I'm happy you guys are enjoying that Ghost Rider video. But follow me on Twitter. Handles on the screen. Nick's is at KeyIssues Nick.
I'm not gonna lie, I get a lot of new followers and then they immediately unfollow me, so I don't know what I'm doing. Send me a message. Let me know.
Something's going on.
I think I talk about UFC too much. I come across as like a meathead.
Maybe.
I also talk about comics and action figures and the crippling pit of depression that I live in every day of my life. So
right.
There's that too.
You got to stay up on that. I mostly talk about the MCU, the DCEU, and Star Wars pretty much exclusively, or I'll retweet funny memes or UFC stuff as well. Sure. But that's all we've got for you guys today. Thanks for coming out and watching. We have over 7,000 playbacks on this live stream today, so thank you to everyone that stopped by. Thanks to everyone that left questions and comments in the chat. We love talking to you guys down there as we are live. And of course, be sure to subscribe to our Key Issues podcast channel. That is where we re-upload every single episode of the podcast, so in case you missed some of this or you didn't get to see it live or you want to watch it again, if you're a crazy person, you can definitely go over to the Key Issues podcast channel and watch all of the replays there with video. So be sure to follow us both on Twitter. As I said, the handles are both on screen the entire time. Shout out to Natalie Portman and also Charlie Cox's big badonkadonk booty. And that's all I've got for you guys. Nick, would you like to say anything before we get out of here?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, thank you everyone again for watching, and we will see you next week where we're going to talk about Shang-Chi. We're going to do our review for that. So that's 3 out of the last 4 podcasts have all been reviews, and then 1, I guess we kind of reviewed the trailer. We just talked about crazy Spider-Man stuff, but yeah, that will be next week. Hopefully, if it's not next week, it'll be the week after that. If it's not the week after that, it'll be the week after that, and if it's not in a month, then it's never coming out, and then you'll never see another podcast again. So hopefully it's soon. But yeah, thanks again, everyone who's been watching.